Inflation is up 9.1% this morning, that number being released. What are you having to cut from your budget to make up for that? 217-629-7970. We anticipated that it would increase, but those who look at these numbers said it increased more than they had thought it would. And I want to hear from you now at 217-629-7970. What do you have to cut from your budget to make up for that? Because this isn't something to sneeze at. Inflation obviously is a major issue. It impacts the poor the most, and it's something as well that it's just how do we reverse the trend? Because the trend has been month after month here, especially in this year alone. We've seen that increase. Last month it was up over the year 8.8%. Now it's up 9.1% over the year. And this obviously is being driven by gas prices, food prices, and a variety of other things that are staples in everyday life and everyday civilization. And inflation is one of those things that impacts the poor the most, especially those who are on regular fixed income, those who are retired, those who are on like Social Security, for instance. So how are you going to be managing your finances with inflation now at 9.1%? So let's take a look at what CNBC has to say here with the latest numbers coming out. Inflation up 9.1%, even more than expected, and the price pressures intensify. So shoppers, of course, you're going to see increased prices across the board. This is going to impact the stock market as well. But CPI on a monthly basis increasing 1.3%. Which that's quite a bit in 1 month. Energy prices for the month, 7.5%, but they're up 41.6% over a 12-month basis. This is all based off of the last year's numbers, so you can see, again, just how drastic of an increase that is. What are you doing in order to ensure that you can make it to the next paycheck with increase of that sort? I tell you, discretionary income, it's important. It's about a quality of life. Are you maybe cutting back on going out to eat? Are you maybe looking at not having as much entertainment as you used to have? Are you looking at curbing travel, for instance? What are you doing in order to cushion that increased inflation number? Again, 9.1% over the past year is quite a bit. And when you look at energy prices in particular, that's driving this considerably. So 217-629-7970. What are you doing to curb or somehow cushion increased inflationary issues in your budget? And in particular, you got to think about what this does for your parents who are retired. You got to think about what this does for your loved ones who are on a fixed income, either on Social Security or those individuals who are just of lesser means. So let's get to the phones, 217-629-7970. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Yeah, beautiful morning. Actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to register as a Democrat and start putting at least 10 to 20% of whatever I have left over to their campaigns. Because swear to God, only thing next is nuclear war, I'm thinking.
All right. Well, that's, I guess, one way I don't know if it's going to help you shore up your budget if you are carving out some for political funds, but I guess you do what you want with your money. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
I'll tell you what people need to start doing, Bishop, is start thinking about how they actually vote.
Well, and listen, this is going to impact the elections. There's no question. If this number continues to ramp up, as we've seen the past few months here, people are going to notice this. They're already feeling it. They're looking at their bank accounts and they're like, I'm not getting as much bang for my buck. And when they go to the polls, I think that's going to translate. And then probably why you've got Joe Biden not polling that great. And he hasn't even made it to the midterms yet. And by not great, I mean horribly. He's actually polling worse than former President Donald Trump. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Good morning. Hey, two of the things, I guess, and probably everybody's doing the first one, but, I'm eating out a whole lot less. A lot of lunches at home. And the second thing is I've got an old hot rod that on a weekend I usually drive out to Athens with a buddy or Riverton or Cantrell or Auburn and have lunch and a beer. And I can't afford to put gas in it when I'm only getting 10, 12 miles a gallon to start.
All right. Yeah, so those are some of the things that you're going to have to cut back on. And again, that takes away from your quality of life and enjoyment of life. So that's just one example. I appreciate that. 217-629-7970. Good morning. What are you doing to curb inflation? New numbers out, 9.1% over the year. And that's just the overall inflation. You've got gas that's gone up like 40+%. Good morning.
Well, our business, we're gonna lower our prices 10%. Because that's what the people deserve.
Wow.
We're gonna work hard to make it better for the people.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, what do you do?
Well, we're gonna find out here soon if we're gonna be allowed to. But Surf Springfield is gonna take people out and teach them how to ride electric surfboards. But I don't think that people should have to pay for other people's bad decisions. So we're gonna lower our prices 10%.
Well, I tell you, we're going to hopefully talk about this some more tomorrow. So we'll definitely be chatting more about that with Surf Springfield, Matt. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Hey, listen, I mean, there's going to be those types of business decisions across the board, right? Maybe a business is going to do what Matt just said with Surf Springfield, lowering his price by 10% to make it more attractive for people. Other businesses might not be able to do that because their costs are increasing. The costs for transporting goods, the cost for making goods, the cost for raw materials, all of that's increasing, and that's going to be pushed onto the consumer down the line in most instances. So what are you doing as a consumer to brace for that impact? You're already doing quite a bit, I would imagine, but what now that you've got a 9.1% inflationary increase? Good morning, you're on WMAY.
Good morning, and I just want to say, God bless that last caller. You know, he's doing what he can to try to make things better, you know, cutting back. And with me, outside of rice and beans, no pun intended, I like to go to garage sales. I'll go like to Aldi's, places like that. And in light of vehicles, I have an old convertible that does really well on gas. So I've been driving it to work instead. And then the other thing is I think we all need to be watching out for each other. For instance, like when we had the baby formula crisis, when I was in a local pharmacy, I would pick up extra baby formula if I saw it and, you know, give it to people I know or coworkers because there was a shortage. And I think that's just an atrocity that we didn't have the formula on hand, you know. So,
well, and that's just one of the many supply chain issues that there are being impacted by a variety of things. And you got to imagine that supply and demand is going to drive that price up. And people who need the most help are going to be hurting. I appreciate the call. And I think you touch on something here. We all need to be better in seeing what our community needs and stepping up and helping plug those gaps. But even charitable giving, that's part of people's budgets, and that could take a hit with increased inflation. And I think that that's the stark reality here. But with inflation at 9.1%, the political ramifications are going to be heard, and people's pocketbooks are going to be hurt. And you're going to see that continued shrinking of your wallet and your purchasing and your spending abilities. And that doesn't just mean, you know, your quality of life and being able to go hang out with your friends with your classic vehicle. It's also going to mean people are going to be less giving in a time where we actually really need to be focused on being more giving. So we'll continue to track all of that. Appreciate everybody chiming in here. With Springfield's Morning News, I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk.